Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News website. Today, I have one of my special reports. In this one, I'm going to go over my top picks in the industry. The focus will be on gold, silver, copper, and base metals. One of the key things that I'm finding is I don't think that I've ever in my career been able to find as many companies that I think have 5 to 10x type performance potential in the relative near term. The valuations are incredibly low. The sentiment is completely bearish at this point in time. But when things get like that, it's often the time that a turnaround happens, and this is the case in all sectors. And we're seeing that now in mining exploration and development especially. The theme, I got a couple themes that I'm going to work on today. One of them is I'm very bullish on a specific area of Nevada. It's in the Battle Mountain Eureka trend near the city of Eureka. I've got 4 companies that I'm going to talk about there. Another theme is that I'm a big fan of orogenic gold systems, and we've got some to talk about in there. Then I've got some copper and base metals as well. Basically, what I'm trying to do is present to you a group of companies that I think have the potential for 5 to 10 times performance. And so we'll get right to it. The first one is i-80 Gold. I call it the elephant in the room. I can see that this company is not only operating in Nevada, which is elephant country, but they found some what looks like the company making assets for them. 2 of those assets are one of them is Granite Creek, and the other is the Ruby Hills project. At Granite Creek, they just put some news out. In fact, yesterday I spoke with Ewan Downey. You can find that interview on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News. And what we talked about was the news that they had out just a few days ago from their Granite Creek. The headline numbers being 44 grams of gold over 6.4 meters, 19.6 grams over 10 meters, 10 grams over 14.5 meters. And these are not isolated highlight holes. You can go to their map, and they have a cross section that shows the distribution of high-grade gold in their from their Otto Adams Peak zone over to the OG zone that goes deeper below those old mine workings, and then the big South Pacific zone. And if you look at the distribution of the gold, the high-grade gold throughout there, it has tremendously good continuity. And, you know, to have a gold mine of a high-grade deposit, continuity is king. The second thing that's important is the low cost potential. So when you get a lot of that 10 gram plus material, that makes for a very profitable underground mine. I think that this mine is going to be a very big one. They think that they're kind of covered the southern end of the deposit, and it is open to the north. Already it has a strike length of about 750 meters or something like that, I think Ewan mentioned, and some historical holes that suggest that it could go for another 400 meters. So I think that this on itself makes the company undervalued. But then they have a tremendous asset developing at their Ruby Hills project. At Ruby Hills, what initially got me very excited about that project was they hit some thick intersections of high grade at what they call their Ruby Deeps deposit. And then they followed that up with some drilling in between Ruby Deeps and the historical pit, and they hit more high grade. So the high grade starts basically at the bottom of the pit and goes to the west side into this Ruby Deeps, and Ruby Deeps is getting bigger. And when you're talking about those grades and thicknesses, it doesn't need a lot of stepping out in order to have a monster of a deposit. I think that's where Ruby Deeps and their 420 zone or 424 zone, when I forget what the 420 zone, I think it is heading in that direction. But this project, Ruby Hills, is tremendously exciting, not just for the Ruby Deeps and that near the bottom of the pit zone, but now they've drilled to the southern end of that, and they've hit what is a CRD discovery, a carbonate replacement deposit. One of the famous ones that some of our viewers will know about was Arizona Mining's Taylor deposit. And the reason you'll know about that is because John Kaiser and I had done some shows that we talked quite extensively about it before the discovery and sort of their game plan. And, you know, they executed on that game plan, and the rest is history, so to speak. And what's tremendously exciting about these CRD deposits is that they can be very big. In order to be big, you have to have a structural story that helps bring the fluids to the surface. Then you need the right kind of rock package that is permeable in order for those metal-bearing fluids to make their way into the rock. And then you need to show that you've got that kind of gold mineralization in the system. So they are at that point now where they've checked off all those boxes. Now it comes down to, well, how big can this get? And if you look at the potential distance for the CRD system, you got a package of the right kind of rocks right beside that, right with those faulting that goes for the size potential of a Taylor deposit. So this is a tremendously important development that I don't think a lot of people are really looking at yet, simply because they kind of look at I-80 as a gold story, but now they've got the potential of having extreme high-grade CRD added to the bonus, if you will, of their world-class project at Granite Creek and their world-class gold project at Ruby Hills. So, you know, this is a company that I think has a tremendous growth curve ahead of them, one that could easily see them be a multi-billion-dollar company, but currently they trade at $500 million. To put that into context, I see exploration companies out there with, you know, similar or even higher valuations, and I'm pretty sure they don't have what I'm certain they don't have what I-80 Gold is looking at. So for those, I see this as a cornerstone investment for investors in the sector. I think it's the kind of thing you can buy and hold for the next decade. And during that time, you'll just watch your money grow. Sure, there will be some uncomfortable periods like there are in all stocks. And right now it's trading at an all-time low. Put that into context. The company has only been trading for a little over a year, so they're not that old to start with. But for a young company, they've really hit the ground running. This is a spin out of the Premier Gold, which was taken over. And the team that Ewan Downey has put around this is quite exceptional. So they've got the people, they've got the facilities, they've got the projects to really move them up into the to the mid-tier gold producer with the added bonus of a CRD deposit attached to it with the potential for some significant size. So I don't see this company as being a $500 million valuation company for too much longer. And I think it's a tremendous bargain and a great growth curve ahead of it and a cheap valuation relative to the quality of their assets. So, those are the kind of things that make up 5 to 10 baggers. And I think that that's where i-80 Gold is heading. The next company on my list, I'm going to give you a orogenic gold project, and that is Sokoman Minerals. Sokoman just had one of the best holes, if not the best hole that they've ever drilled at their Moosehead project in central Newfoundland. They reported the thickest high-grade drill results from the lower eastern trend to date. That included a 39 meters of 12.5 grams per ton gold. Included in that was 10 meters of 41.97 grams per ton gold. So you're looking at a plus 400 metal factor there when you multiply the grams per ton by the meters. That puts them in the top percentile of top 10% of results for the mining exploration industry over the last year or two. And what really stands out to me there is that what makes up these mines like a Fosterville where you find the Swan Zone is the Swan Zone is a very small ore body, but extremely rich grade. You may have heard me call this a jewelry box type mineralization. I think that Sokoman has now hit their first jewelry box. And if it looks anything like Swan Zone, now, of course, that's going to take more drilling. But when you get thick intersections of that kind of high grade, that's what makes up jewelry box deposits in the gold mining sector. And these orogenic systems, they come from deep crustal breaks or cracks, faults. This opens up the crust for the the gold-bearing fluids to make their way up to the surface. Where it gets really exciting is when you start tagging these jewelry box type mineralization, this gold extreme high grade gold. What makes Swan Zone so special is that they are not only high grade, but they're also high margin and low cost of producing from these mines makes them very profitable. And that's why I like these kind of projects. So Sokoman has one of those, and I believe strongly that they found their first jewelry box mineralization of high-grade gold over thick intersections. They're doing some work now to prepare for the next round of drilling, but I think there's some very exciting things to come from the lower eastern trend at their Moosehead project in Newfoundland. Has great infrastructure. They're really close to the highway, the big highway that goes through Canada. Can't remember it at this time. I guess I've been out of Canada for so long. I've been 6 years down in Mexico that I forget these things. But in addition to hitting what I think is their first jewelry box in this orogenic system at the Moosehead project, they also recently shared some drill core from their lithium project. And what's very exciting about the lithium stuff is that Australia has overtaken the lithium triangle in South America as the number one source of lithium. And they get that lithium from their hard rock deposits, pegmatites. And what is important about pegmatites is that you need spodumene, and spodumene is what carries the lithium. In the drill core that they shared, they showed significant amounts of massive spodumene, which gives them the potential, the realistic potential of coming out with excellent grades in their drilling results. Those are in the lab right now, and not too long ago, I had an interview with Tim Proud of Sokoman, and he mentioned that, you know, they're expecting those results in the next week or two. So, you know, they're on the verge of announcing some important results out of their lithium project. And, you know, one of the speculations in the industry is that a lot of the same kind of rocks that are in Australia, these very old rocks, are also present in Canada. And that gives Canada the potential of finding important lithium deposits in these hard rock deposits. And but yes, there's increasing exploration for that, but who has found something significant? I think not only does Sokoman Minerals have an excellent gold project at their Moosehead project, I also think that they're going to, in the very short period of time here, announce substantial lithium results from their drilling, based on what I see in the core. Of course, we need the grade to know the specific numbers, but massive spodumene is a good indicator that you're going to have good grade in those results. And I think that they could be one of the leaders in establishing Canada as an important source of an important source of hard rock lithium in Canada. And yet the company has a very modest valuation. They're currently sitting at around 60 million valuation relative to what they're looking for. I think that that's very undervalued. Let me see here. Yeah, the valuation is right on the money at 60 million. Recently, they've come up from around the 20-cent level to 28 cents on the results from their Moosehead project. I think you're going to see a lot of news come out of the Moosehead. I think you're going to see some great news come out of the lithium project. And I think that ultimately this 60 million valuation is going to prove to be very cheap. If you take a look at the combination of their lithium project and the potential to be finding jewelry box intersections of high-grade gold in an orogenic system, you know, this 60 million valuation could definitely turn into $500 million plus type valuation. So, you know, that looks like a 10-bagger potential right there. And that's what I think is happening with Sokoman. Sokoman trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol SIC. They also trade on the OTCQB market under the symbol SICNF. And as I said, you know, they've just recently come out with excellent results on their gold project, and now they're looking at, in the near term, having important results out of their lithium project. So have a look at Sokoman Minerals. The next company up on my list is McEwen Mining. McEwen Mining is a gold miner that has sort of gone through some challenging period in their production at their gold projects. They are getting those problems under control, but that has punished their stock valuation. Now, they also have what looks like a tremendously important copper project at their Los Azules project in Argentina, in the San Juan province of Argentina, which I heard one of their representatives refer to as the Nevada of Argentina. So it's a very pro-mining jurisdiction. I like that way of explaining it. I've had other successes in picking companies in Argentina. They were also in the San Juan province. So I can attest to that, the accuracy of that comment. It is a very pro-mining jurisdiction. And down there, they have a top 10 undeveloped mine when comparing to their peers in the world. It will also, from assessments done, could be one of the lowest quartile producers. Big tonnage, big size, and low costs are a recipe for a future mine. But their valuation, because of the troubles they've had on the gold side of things, is making it so that, you know, I think they're undervalued just based on their copper asset alone. So you're basically getting the gold for free. Now, why you want the gold for free in a company that's had troubles with their gold production is they're getting on top of those issues that they've had with the gold production. And I don't think anybody really looks at their Timmins project as something that could have the depth potential of something like what Gold Corp found at their Red Lake mine. They had, at one time, Gold Corp was the lowest cost producer of gold in the business. That was during the days that Rob McEwen ran the company. And they have some indications that they're in the same kind of rock as Red Lake. They've done some deep drilling that has indicated that they could have some very good size and are very good grades at depth. And I really think that in the future, you're going to see McEwen Mining really focus on that depth potential because, you know, let's face it, if Rob McEwen finds what looks like could be another Gold Corp, everybody in the gold mining business would stand up and take notice. So you've got turnaround potential in their gold mines. You've got the potential for depth at their Timmins projects. You've got the copper asset. All combined, I think that this one also is a 5 to 10x type performer. I think you'd be good idea to take a look at McEwen Mining. They trade on both the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol MUX, as well as on the New York Stock Exchange with that same symbol of MUX. I just think that the world needs copper projects so badly to cover the supply that's needed for the revolution that's coming in automobiles, as well as for your general economic growth worldwide that requires a lot of copper. And so when you combine those things, I think that McEwen Mining offers a tremendous opportunity for a copper and gold asset that is currently being undervalued just for the copper alone, and you're pretty much getting the gold for free. So McEwen Mining is another good one to take a look at. The next company on my list today is Galantas Gold. Galantas Gold is another one of these companies that's looking for a high-grade gold system in a orogenic system. What makes this one tremendously undervalued to me is that I think that they've already started to hit their jewelry box type intersections in the drilling, and it's not being reflected in the valuation of the company. What makes up these jewelry box type intersections is in the orogenic system. You want to see dilation zones where you've got the primary fault that is the big crack in the earth that opens the pathway for high grade gold fluids to make their way to the surface, but then you'll get, breaks where it gets bigger. Dilation zones are called. And the distinct advantage that Galantas Gold has is that there was historical mining at this at their project in Omagh, Northern Ireland, and so their geologists can get down deeper than surface, and they can look at the rocks and see what makes up these dilation zones, which makes the predictability of finding more dilation zones much higher. And an added bonus is that they are now turning the near surface high grade, high margin gold into a producing mine. And with that, they're going to be able to fund the depth search, the depth exploration, and move towards what I think is finding a swan zone type situation or multiple swan zones at their orogenic gold system in Ireland. The recent news is that they did a $6.9 million private placement, so they've got themselves cashed up. That will help them to work out the kinks in their early mining. All mines have kinks in them, and you got to work your way through those issues, and then then you've got your future ahead of you. Plus, it will help fund some of their deep drilling into looking for more of this extreme high grade that they've already found. So earlier I talked about a company that I think is just starting to find their first jewelry box type mineralization. But this one, I think, has already found them. Now it's a point to expand on them. And they have the cash, and they've got a very good share structure. Currently, their valuation, let me just get it up here, is another one that I think is very, very cheap. Their stock symbol is GAL. I'll give you the other stock symbols because they trade on more than just the venture, but currently they have a $49.89 million valuation. Multi-billion or multi-hundreds of millions valuations if they execute on their plans, like I think they will prove to be very cheap, and is another one that I consider a 10-bagger plus potential on this one. Their symbol also on the AIM market in London is GAL. They trade on the OTCQX market under the symbol GALCKF. So whether you're looking at this company from Canada, London, or the United States, there's your various different symbols that will help you find more about Galantas Gold. But yeah, I'm a big fan of what Galantas Gold is doing in Northern Ireland. I really like their orogenic gold system, and stay tuned for more developments, because I think you're going to see a excellent news flow out of this company in the coming weeks and months. Next on my list is a company that you've probably heard of me talk about in the past. They were a former sponsor of my website, my shows, which is Amex Exploration. And, as I said about in a company earlier, in a gold system, you need to find continuity to make a mine. And if you look at the high grade continuity in their high grade zone at their project in Quebec, it has tremendous high grade continuity. And that's what makes up high grade mines. I have no doubts that their high grade zone will be a future mine. Attached to the side of that is a open pit target that, you know, they could complement each other, because as you get to the bottom of the open pit mining, you'd have easy access to the high grade zone. So, you know, this could be a long-term producer, and you just don't find that continuity all that often, and in any gold system. And to find that in an orogenic gold system doesn't surprise me. That's what they have. They've done a lot of drilling. They've established that they have an orogenic gold system with great high grade continuity. But yet, here's another company where the stock is trading near a 52-week low. I even think it's getting close to a, yeah, they haven't seen these lows since early 2020. You know, they have $184 million valuation, but, you know, these kind of projects can be company makers. They've got more than one zone. They've found a VMS system on the project. So, you know, this is the kind of company that I could see go over $1 billion in valuation. $184 million valuation currently gives them the potential of a 5x type performer. That's what this show is all about. And Amex falls into that category. And I've covered them lots. When they were a past sponsor, I was fortunate enough to speak with them on several occasions. Kelly Malcolm, their VP Exploration, as well as one of their head technical guys, came on a show. These are really smart guys, and I think they have a heck of a good story that is currently tremendously undervalued. So, as I said, that's the nature of this show. So Amex Exploration hits the list as well. So I've got one more orogenic gold system play to talk about, which is Endurance. Endurance Gold has already found a horizon of high-grade gold in an orogenic system. So now the next exciting part is because these are big, deep, old cracks in the earth, they tend to be several thousand meters of mineralization. So when you've got something sitting here at the surface, then you want to find the feeders that got that gold to the surface. And when you start tagging those feeders, it helps lead you deeper and opens the door to find the jewelry box mineralization. So far, most of those, their mineralization is in very fine-grained gold. As you get deeper into these systems, you can also often find much more coarse gold. And I think that that's where they're going to go. And when they start hitting the coarse gold, and that's where you start seeing everybody in the market getting quite worked up. Endurance, I think, is on the verge of doing just that. They found this high-grade zone. They've now tagged into feeder zones, and those feeder zones will lead them deeper, and that's when things get very exciting in an orogenic gold system. And I think they've got a special one here at their project in British Columbia. It's around 4 hours from Vancouver, and I think they've got the potential of finding a Swan Zones jewelry box type high grade, high margin gold at their project, like they did, like has happened at the Fosterville mine in Australia. So Endurance Gold, let me just get you the symbols. The symbols are, they trade, I think it's only on the Toronto Stock Exchange venture market. No, I'm wrong. Their symbol in the venture market is EDG. They also trade on the OTC pink sheets with ENDGF. And they also have a listing in Frankfurt under 3EG. So there's the final of my orogenic gold system plays. So now I want to go back to Nevada. The reason I want to go back to Nevada is that I said earlier that, I-80 is sort of the elephant in the room, if you will. I think they're onto some very special things at their Ruby Hill project near Eureka. But I've been fortunate enough to have recognized the potential for that to be a focus of investors and exploration in Nevada quite early. And there's 3 other companies that are in close proximity to I-80 Gold with similar rocks and similar faulting that gives them excellent potential as well. One of those companies is Paycore Minerals. Paycore is right beside the I-80 Gold. Their last news release, which was out a little less than a couple of weeks ago, had 12.5 meters of 22% zinc and 44 meters of 6.3% zinc. It's got zinc, lead, silver. I mean, the silver grade in one of those highlight holes was 155 grams of silver and a gram of gold. Those are some pretty nice kickers when you're looking at 22% zinc. Their 44-meter intersection had 6.3% zinc, 3.7% lead, 231 grams of silver, and 2 grams of gold. Those are very thick intersections of very high grade. It's in a CRD system, and much like the discovery that I-80 Gold has made just to the north of them, there's a key fault that goes through both Paycore's ground and through I-80's. And it leads right up to the pit, the historical pit on I-80 Gold's project. And in addition to that, so you've got the vent that allows the fluids to make their way from deep up to the fluids with mineralization up to the surface, and then you want a permeable package of rock where that fluids can make their way into that rock, and then you want mineralization. So you've got the same fault going through Paycore's ground onto I-80's ground, and then you've got this big package of the right kind of rock that goes for 2 kilometers on I-80's ground, and then continues on to Paycore's ground, and then it also is quite wide on Paycore's ground as well. So both of these companies have all the check marks of a CRD system, the potential for significant big CRD discoveries. In fact, Jim Gowans, who is the non-executive chairman of Paycore, and was part of the team of Arizona Mining that found the big Taylor deposit that got Arizona Mining taken over and made all their shareholders a bunch of money. He's a metallurgist. He understands these kind of multi-metal deposits. And we did an interview last week that I suggest you go on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News to check out. But they have the same story from I-80 north of the pit all the way down to their claim boundary, and then over onto Paycore's. And now Paycore's hitting a CRD. So, this tells you that there is big potential. And in that interview I did with Ewan Downey a couple days ago, or yesterday, he showed a map that shows this right kind of rock and the distribution of historical mining and where the drilling has happened. And then also had an inset where it showed the size of the Taylor deposit, and you could fit maybe 1.5 Taylor deposits to possibly even two inside of that package of rock that goes from I-80's ground all the way down to Paycore's. So both these companies have excellent stories on their gold zones. In the case of Paycore, they have their oxide, which is right at surface. That looks quite promising. They've got their underground high-grade gold system, and now they've also added in the CRD. So, this is a tremendously exciting corridor around Eureka that for a long time went quite underexplored due to, they were owned by gold companies, and they didn't put enough focus on these because they were focusing on near surface open pits, and these are deeper for their gold systems, and they certainly weren't interested in the CRD potential because they're gold companies. They don't really care about zinc and lead and silver and gold. But the bottom line of a mining company doesn't care where that mining comes from. If you got rock that's worth a lot of money and it doesn't cost you a lot or significantly less to get it out of there, that leads to free cash flow. And the bottom line likes free cash flow regardless of where it comes from. So I'm a big fan of what Core is doing. The company has only been out for less than 6 months, I believe it is. And they are a sponsor of my website. I'm very thankful because they enable me with I-80 being a sponsor and Paycore, and there's two more companies in this area that are also sponsors. I can put a lot of my attention and focus and content on this Eureka district, and I believe very highly in it. So I'm glad that I can keep putting out a lot of content for my viewers based on this Eureka area. Core is a major player in that area with only a $40 million valuation. Definitely a 10x type performance potential in this one. And I think I would put it in the 10x plus potential performer category. I think this is another one you want to take a close look at. Timberline Resources is another sponsor of my website. They also are in the Eureka area. It kind of goes Paycore or I-80 Gold, then Timberline, then another company I'm going to talk about next, and then, I-80, Paycore, another company I'll talk about in a minute, and then Timberline. And that deep structure starts or is through Timberline's ground, through Paycore's, and through I-80 Gold. Timberline just announced 22.8 meters of 4.29 grams per ton gold in the southern extension of their Waterwell zone at the Eureka project. Excellent numbers from these guys, and these are just their first package of results from their Waterwell drilling. I think that they're onto something very serious there. And that drilling will ultimately lead them to a very large geophysical anomaly that has the potential of being a source of where all of that gold mineralization along the faulting that they've hit and in the right packages of rock. And it's a very big geophysical anomaly. When they get there, I think kitty bar the door, I think it could get very exciting. They also have the CRD potential. They have had some sniffs that they might have one on their project or more. And I think that that's in their future as well. I think that you're going to see I-80, Paycore, and Timberline having the same kind of successes because they all have the right, their check marks are all getting ticked off with all of these projects. And Timberline has just announced their first drill results for their first 4 holes of their 2022 drilling program. They're drilling a bunch more. I hope to have them on the show again soon. I've done a couple in the past. So Timberline Gold is they've got one of the largest land packages in that Eureka district. So lots of ground, lots of potential. They've got good funding. They're doing good work. That's getting them good results. And I think that trend will continue with them. And yet you look at Timberline, and Timberline has a valuation. What is it here? TBR is their stock symbol on the venture. They have a valuation of 31 million. Again, 10x plus potential on Timberline Resources. Timberline stock symbol on the venture is TBR. They also trade on the OTC QB market under the symbol TLRS. And that's another one you want to take a look at. And watch out for some more news. They could come out with more at any time. The final company I want to talk about on that Eureka area is Golden Lake Minerals. GLM is their stock symbol. A Golden Lake Exploration, sorry. GLM is their symbol. They just had results out about 6 days ago. They intercepted 3.31 grams per ton gold, 209 grams per ton silver, over 3.96 meters from the Hamburg mine zone at their Jewel Ridge project in Nevada. What made me excited about this company, first and foremost, was they came to my awareness through Ewan Downey at I-80 Gold. He said that he liked what they were doing, that he liked some of their past results, as they had hit some very good numbers in their past drilling. And then I started to do some more homework on them. And when I did that homework, I found that this company had a lot of past production, small mining many decades ago, in several areas on their project. So you know that they have widespread gold mineralization. That's a great place, especially when you see what's happening with I-80 Gold, with Paycore, with Timberline. That's a good address. The projects go I-80, Paycore, GLM, and then Timberline. And so they're in a great address. They've got a great geological history to their project. They're behind. They need to catch up to these other companies, but I think they've got that kind of potential. They're looking for those kind of targets. They've got the right kind of rock. They've seen this past mining, and yet you look at that package and GLM has a valuation of $3.8 million. That is tremendously cheap considering what's going on with their neighbors around them and the realistic potential they have for discovery. Now, sometimes discoveries of mines takes several groups to go into a project area. I heard a quote that at Newmont, they felt that it was the 7th or 8th group that had been on a project, sometimes drilling many, many holes before the mines were found. And I think GLM, Golden Lake Exploration, has the potential to find something quite exciting. And yet there's no excitement whatsoever in their stock. They're trading at a $3.8 million valuation, trading at their multiple year lows. I think you have to go back beyond 2020 to see them trading at this valuation. But I don't think the future has ever looked as good as it does now for this company. So GLM is their stock symbol. I don't know if I mentioned, but they trade on the CSE, Canadian Securities Exchange, under the symbol GLM. They also trade on the OTC market under the GOLXF symbol. Yeah, great area. Lots of past production, suggestive of a big gold mineralizing system in the right kind of rocks. They're also getting sniffs of potential to find a CRD system, and only a $3.8 million valuation. I'm a big fan of this company, and I think that as they understand more about their systems on this project, that they will make significant results that gets this valuation much higher than 3.8 million. So I put this one in the 10x plus performance category. And there you go. Okay, before I leave Nevada, I've got one more company to talk about. They're not in this Eureka area, but they've got quite an exciting project. It's a company called Walker River Resources. They just recently became a sponsor of my website, and they did an interview with Michelle David. And we talked about the two key targets that they have on this project. They have that will both be seeing drilling. At their Pikes Peak project, they have what looks like the heat engine for the gold mineralization that then found its way along the faulting all the way over to the Lapon Canyon, where they've been drilling from the side of the mountain and hit lots of high-grade gold. But when you're drilling from the side of the mountain, that can be pretty challenging. The reason they went there is that there was historical mining there, significant historical mining that suggested that they would find a lot of high-grade gold, which they did. But targeting that high-grade gold is challenging. The reason you get that an exploration person gets excited about a project like this is, so you've got the potential heat source. The faulting follows the bottom of Lapon Canyon. At Lapon Mountain, it goes up the Lapon Mountain. It goes all the way over to the other side. There's faulting that goes up there. And then you've got this alteration halo where the rocks at surface were altered by the chemical processes of gold mineralization. So where did that come from? Pikes Peak is the likely suspect, and they'll be drilling that. And then what's getting really exciting about Lapon Mountain is they've now found reasons to believe that the gold mineralization goes all the way to the top of the mountain and follows that all the way down to the bottom of the mountain. But instead of drilling it from the side, you can drill it from the top and just bang a bunch of holes into it. So that's the drilling that I foresee coming. Well, they've talked about, and I think that you'll see coming from them. At their Pikes Peak target, looks like the heat engine that got those, that is the source of the mineralization along the faulting up to Lapon Mountain. They found lots of high grade at their Lapon Mountain project, and now they're going to drill from the top where it flattens out, and they can just bang hole after hole after hole, chasing that high grade at depth. So Walker River Resources is a very exciting story to me. That's why I invited them to be a sponsor. They their current valuation is only 7.72 million. Again, this is another one that I consider a 10x plus potential. And if they execute like I think they will, I think they've got a very good chance to make an important discovery at their Pikes Peak target and at Lapon Mountain. That is the extension of what I think comes off, or what could prove to have come from the Pikes Peak target. So they're really getting a good handle on the entire gold mineralizing system. And because they found a lot of high-grade gold, that's a great place to look for a high-grade gold mine. They're at a very important juncture in their history. And I think that that's going to take them onwards and upwards, instead of sort of struggling along the bottom when they've had the difficulty, the challenges of trying to drill off from the side of a mountain. Yeah, again, a $7.72 million valuation. Their stock symbol is, just give me a second here. They trade on the TSX Venture Market under the symbol WRR. Have a look at them. Okay, I have one more gold project, and in this case, we're going north to Alaska. HighGold Mining is a company that I think very highly of. The guy who runs the company is a guy named Darwin Green. Darwin Green and I used to work for the same geological consulting firm. I've known Darwin for many years. Darwin is a very smart guy, excellent presenter, really knows what he's doing when it comes to exploration. He's proven that at their Johnson Tract project, they have a dual focus, if you will. They've got an area, they've got the Johnson Tract project, and they've got a resource on that project. It stands at about a little over 1 million ounces at slightly under 10 grams per ton. You know, those are the kind of things that make up a high-grade gold mine. And it has room for expansion. But you know what really got me excited about this company is last drilling season, about 6 months ago or so, right at the end of this drilling season, they got their results back from the Difficult Creek prospect. And they intersected just fabulously high grade, hundreds of grams per ton, over 6 meters or something like that, 577 grams of gold, 2,000 grams of silver over 6.4 meters. That makes it one of the best drill holes on the planet last year. But unfortunately, because of the weather in Alaska, they weren't able to follow that drilling up until this year. And this year, they recently had results out from what they're now calling the Ellis Zone at their DC prospect. And the highlight hole from that was 21 grams, 21.7 grams over 11 meters at their Ellis Zone. So that's a great highlight hole. That's they're hitting lots of high grade gold at this system. And what I wanted to point out to you, to everybody, is that they also included a map on their news release. And what it shows you is the high grade continuity of the high grade in their Ellis Zone. That Ellis Zone appears in a package of rocks that's sort of horizontal, and it goes on for, I think, close to 2 kilometers. As I said earlier, talking about another company, continuity of high grade is extremely important to make up a mine. They are now, from their first, not many holes, starting to establish excellent continuity. Whether you look at it in this horizon, and the horizon goes a long way over to their Milkbone target on the other side of the mountain. So they're on one side, they found the Ellis zone. That horizon of a favorable rock continues all the way to the other side of the mountain, a couple kilometers away, where they've done some surface sampling and they found lots of high grade. So it looks like they've got a horizon there with excellent continuity of high grade. It's right close to surface. This would make an engineer's dreams come true, if they can prove that high grade continuity continues all the way over to the Milkbone, which I think is a very good chance to see that happen. Simply because, when you start seeing high grade distribution throughout the horizon in one area, and then you see at the very far end of that area that you've also got high grade, there's a good chance that is all one big horizon that is full of high grade gold continuity. And so that Ellis zone is getting very exciting. These are just the first package of drill results from their current drill program. They're drilling up a storm there. They're going to have a lot of drill results to report this season. I think the potential for some barn burner type numbers is in the cards. And I think that would get the valuation much higher than its current. Let's see where they are right now. Their current valuation is 62 million. With a 1 million ounce resource at 10 grams ish, plus the exploration potential. This is another 10x potential, 10x plus potential performer. And I really like the way they're doing things, and the team involved, and the results that they've got with the Truth Machine. And I think they've got a lot of good news ahead of them. So take a look at HighGold. HIGH is their stock symbol on the venture exchange. And let me just see here. They also trade on the OTCQX market under the symbol HGGOF. So whether you're in Canada or the United States looking at HighGold, which I think you should, if you like high-grade gold projects, this is one to really take a look at. And yeah, there you go with HighGold. Okay, so now I've finished with all of the gold stories. Now I'm going to go to green gold, copper. And I've got a new company for you today. That company is just announced that they hit massive sulfides and semi-massive sulfides to disseminated sulfides on their project. Gold Metals is the name of the company. GOCO is the stock symbol on the venture exchange. I've been in this exploration business since the early 1990s. I was fortunate enough to see what happens when something like Diamond Fields finds a massive sulfide discovery, and what that can do for the shareholders. And this one has really caught the market's attention. Just a few days ago, they were trading at about a dime. Today, they closed at $1.14. Obviously, I would have liked to have brought them onto the story when they were trading at $1 or 10 cents. But even at $1.44, they only have a $23 million valuation. Ultimately, when Diamond Fields Resources was bought out, they were bought out for $4 billion in the 1990s. It's got to be worth 6 or 7 billion in today's dollars. And I see this one as a Diamond Fields 2.0 story. So even at the big move they've already made, if they turn into anything like that, 10x plus is definitely in their future. And what really caught my attention about them a few days ago was that in addition to announcing that they had hit massive sulfides, they showed some of their drill core, which looks just loaded with massive sulfides. So, that's what you need to have high grade. But they also talked about their geophysical work. Now, one of my mentors is an expert in, at one time he worked for Anglo Gold. He was their world exploration manager and is a real expert in geophysics. And, he always told me, Allan, you got to watch out for geophysics, because, sometimes they can lead you to false positives. And so in these guys' case, they're drilling geophysical anomalies and finding massive sulfides. So that tells you that they've got the geophysics is working, and they've got massive sulfides, and it's wide open. They've got plenty more geophysical anomalies to explore. They've got lots of mineralization, lots of massive sulfides. Massive sulfides are volcanogenic events that volcanoes bring the high-grade fluids to the surface. And I think they've got something very exciting here that even though it's made a big move already, I mean, it's already been over a 10x performer. And I think they could be a 10x performer beyond where they currently are, because I think they're onto something very special here, maybe something that I haven't seen since the Diamond Fields Resources days. Diamond Fields 2.0, been looking for them for another Diamond Fields for a long time. And I think that this GOCO has that realistic potential, Gold Metals. So take a look at Gold Metals. They are trading on the Canadian Stock Exchange, CSE it's called, and they are also, I believe, no, they only trade on the CSE. Their stock symbol on the CSE is GOCO. This is a nickel copper platinum group element project in Quebec with outstanding potential. I like what I see in the drill core. I like that they're hitting on the geophysical anomalies by finding massive sulfides. That means they've got a pretty clear path to where they should be drilling more of these massive sulfides. And, that can lead you to a magma chamber or a VMS vent. I think they've got that in their future. And if they do, this one that's already went up 10x in a matter of a few days and has really caught the market's imagination, as it rightfully should, because it doesn't come along very often, a Diamond Fields 2.0 story. And I think that they've got one of those. So take a look at GOCO. Okay, and another company in the green gold, high-grade copper area is York Harbour. York Harbour, their most recent results that were out on the 8th of September, York Harbour Metals drills 14.77 meters of 2.86% copper, 6.95% zinc, 20 grams of gold, and 173 grams of cobalt. So here you go again. You've got one of these massive sulfide projects. It's a copper zinc project. The world needs more copper. They need more zinc. Finding companies that have good discoveries is hard to find. York Harbour definitely fits into that category. They're drilling, and I think that they can deliver, more of this exciting high-grade stuff. Yet the valuation is currently only at 41 million. Since they made the discovery and made some initial results, they got up to close to I think about $1.40. Now they're trading at half price, but the project hasn't changed. In fact, they've put out some more results. So I think York Harbor is onto something very serious as well. YORK is their symbol on the venture exchange. Let me just get this up here. They trade on the OTC pink sheets under YORKF and in Frankfurt under 5DE0. I'm a big fan of what York Harbor is doing as well. In fact, on my YouTube channel, you can find a past interview that I did with Andrew Lee, their CEO, and I'd like to have them on future shows. I like a lot of what they're doing, and I think they've got great potential ahead of them. Again, this is another of the 10x plus companies. So now I want to close the show with my own company, Advanced Lithium. Advanced Lithium, we changed our name a few months ago or earlier this year because we were putting a real focus on our lithium projects. We've got 13 of these salt lakes in Mexico. Then we just got punished over the last few months because the Mexican government changed some of their mining laws. So when people hear a national lithium mining company in Mexico is being started, they think everybody's going to get expropriated, even the ones that have projects in good standing like ours. I think ultimately there will be a resolution to this lithium situation, but it might take 6 months or so. In the meantime, I wanted to get us something that we could work on, and we're waiting for things to resolve in Mexico for our lithium project. So we had this royalty on a gold project in Kenya, and I really wanted to focus the company in Mexico. Origin Royalties was interested in our project, in our royalty on our Kenya project. We were able to strike a deal where they gave us $125,000 and 100% interest in the Serape project in Mexico. What makes Serape quite exciting is it's right beside Silvercrest's Las Chispas mine. A few short years ago, Silvercrest was a tiny valuation junior mining company as well. And then they made the discovery of Las Chispas, and the stock took off. They had a tremendous run. Now they've turned that project into a mine, and that mine will make them one of the lowest cost producers in the precious metals space. And right beside that, we have a 55 square kilometer project with two veins. One is 5 kilometers long, the other is 1 kilometer. These are epithermal veins, just like at Las Chispas. It's a 5 kilometer long vein that only has seen 2 sets of drill setups over about 200 meters of a 5,000 meter epithermal vein. And inside of these veins, you can have zonation of grade vertically and at depth, and you really have to sort of test the entire vein, which has not been done to date. So having one big vein, the other big vein is 2 kilometers long, and it's only seen one hole. So you've got 2 veins there. Where you find one vein, you can also find a cluster. So you've got an epithermal vein field potential at Serape. You're right beside a very high grade, well-known Silvercrest Las Chispas. And right below Las Chispas is Ermitaño. That is one of First Majestic's best performing mines. Coincidentally, or not so coincidentally, is Origin is the one who has the 2% royalty on that project, and they optioned it to First Majestic. So Origin had been in there early, and they got a Serape because of its lookalike to Ermitaño. Ermitaño is also an epithermal vein. So at Serape, I think we've got the potential for a significant discovery on an epithermal vein system. But just today, as I was preparing to do this show, there was some important news out recently that came to my attention. Agnico Eagle has committed to investing $500 million with Teck into their San Nicolas mine in Mexico, not very far from where I live in Mexico. And it's our Veneditas project is right beside the San Nicolas mine. It shares the same fault, and you can see the alteration zone from Google Earth. So, something caused that alteration of the rock at surface. And you're right beside the fault, and not very far along that fault, you've got a mine that they're talking about putting into production in the next few years. So, and another important thing is that this is a VMS mine. And VMS, volcanogenic massive sulfides, tend to come in clusters. And if, there should be more than one there, not far down the road from that San Nicolas deposit is on the same fault is a big alteration zone that is on our Veneditas project. So that's a potential target for a VMS. About 10 kilometers from San Nicolas is our Tabasqueña project. And on the side of the city of Ojo Caliente is a series of mountains. These are volcanic events. And we have found widespread silver and gold mineralization in veins, as well as over a network that stretches for about 2 kilometers north along strike and about 400 meters wide, with a number of veins with this gold and silver mineralization. But what is quite interesting, at the northern end of that cluster is we hit high grade zinc and lead. And it's worth noting that over at the San Nicolas deposit, you've got 2 zones of mineralization. They're almost equal in value. You've got the zinc, lead, and silver, and then below you've got a copper and gold system, part of this VMS. So this could explain, we've got the high-grade zinc, and that's usually closer to surface on these VMS deposits. Right beside that, we've got silver, high-grade silver mineralization that was formerly mined, and then inside of that, we've also got anomalous to high-grade gold. So this is shaping up to be a really good target for VMS exploration as well. So in Advanced Lithium, you got a company with a $1.13 million valuation, with quite a good package of projects in good areas with big mines around them, and focused in Mexico. Whether that's in our lithium, our gold, or silver, we're a Mexico-focused company. I live in Mexico, in Zacatecas State, near where the Veneditas and Tabasqueña mines are. I'm only about 30 minutes from the projects. I like being here because It enables me to talk to the locals. And, Advanced Lithium, I can't put a target on that because it's my own company. I'm a big shareholder of it. But I definitely think a $1.13 million valuation, considering the quality of the projects that we have, is quite low, and I think you should take a look at it. On that note, Advanced trades on the venture under the symbol AALI. We also have a listing on the OTC under the symbol. Where's my symbol for? I think it is. Oh, aren't I the most organized dude? I can't give you the symbol because I can't find it on my website. Just have a look at our some of our last news releases. You'll find our symbol. We also have one on the OTCQX or OTC bulletin board down there. Most of our trading happens on the venture exchange under AALI. So there you go, folks. I brought you, my top picks list, and these are companies that I think you should speak with your financial advisors about. Do your homework on them. They all have excellent websites. I've talked about many of them. I've done interviews on them. I think every one of these companies except for GoCo, GOCO, and I am trying to get an interview with them. So. Do your homework, check these companies out, go to my YouTube channel, Rocks and Stocks News, and you'll find all those interviews. On that note, have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.